Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome everyone to the video presentation of Group 2. Today we will be showing a presentation about a Cold War in the Middle East. What's that? A Cold War in the Middle East? Let's find out on what actually is. So, on this presentation, Group 2 will be presented by Zaki Muhammad Arfi, Faraz Aji Wijaya Bimantoro, myself Rizky Rimbanasti, Salsabila Navia Ramadhani, and Fidel Ratri Aziza Harimurti. So, in this presentation, I will serve as the moderator and also presenter, which I will go to the table of content first, where we shall explain on what kind of point that we are going to present in this video. So first, we will try to give you an explanation on the introduction between the rivalry between the Cold War between the Saudi Arabia and Iran in the Middle East. And after that, we will explain the political system, religion, and foreign policies of those two nations. And then we will show the effect of the proxy war between those two nations. And then lastly, we will go to the conclusions. So let's get into the first point that will be presented by myself regarding the rivalry between the Saudi Arabia and Iran. So, rivalry began since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. The Middle East has undergone a profound paradigm shift after that. Since then, the Middle East has seen the rise of two big powers, which is Iran and Saudi Arabia. Now, due to numerous political, social, and religious reasons, both nations are engaged on a proxy war in the Middle East, where we will show you that will be where we will show you. But let's try to know what each country tried to represent in their political system, religion, and their foreign policy first. That will be presented by Sabel and Fidel. So, Sabel, if you may.
Okay, thank you, Rimbawan. So, Saudi Arabia's countries whose government system is in the form of a monarchy or kingdom. Although Saudi Arabia is an Islamic country, Saudi Arabia doesn't use an Islamic government system. The use of a monarchy or kingdom system with adjustment that decide beside on state condition. The king in Saudi Arabia bears the role of guardian and servant of Muslims. The title was to affirm the moral position of authority of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who considered himself alone to lead the Islamic world, so that the applicable law in Saudi Arabia is Islamic law, which is based on the teaching of Islamic with the source of the Al-Quran and Al-Hadith. In addition to being a servant of Muslims, the King of Saudi Arabia also has roles as head of state, prime minister, commander of the armed force, and guarding the two holy cities of Hatim al-Haramin. So let's jump to the Iran political system. Iran is a Middle Eastern country with tens of thousands of cities, the capital of which is Tehran. Iran is a unitary state with a system of substantial change in the country's leadership carried out through election or popular vote. Iran used a referendum in 1979 to legally accept the form of an Islamic Republic and the basic law of Iran's relics. The Islamic Republic of Iran, afterlife resurrection, goods, justice in creation, Sharia, Imaniyah, and leadership, as well as the majesty of dignity and noble human values. Imam Ja'fari of the Mazhab Shiite Islamic religion is the foundation of the Iran state. So can next page, please. So the religion of The official Sunni is the official religion in Islam, with the majority of Saudi citizens being Sunni Muslim. And Shia, the constitutions defines the country as an Islamic republic, and specific Tueler Ja'fari Shia Islam as the official state religion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will explain about Saudi Arabia and Iran foreign policy. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the Middle East, so that its foreign policy is based on geographical, historical, religious, economic, and political factors, which are factual and internal. In addition, Saudi Arabia also applies Sharia law in each country so as to make the country require its foreign policy to be related to Islamic principles. The Arabian Peninsula, countries in the Arab region, and other Islamic countries for the shape of the state of Saudi Arabia. Advocating for problems in the Arabian Peninsula, dealing with non-aligned policies, cooperating with friendly countries, and playing an effective role in organizing regional and internationally. This political emerged due to several aspects, including the following. First is Gulf Country Circle. The Gulf State Circle is the most important foreign policy for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In addition, the circle of Gulf countries is made a priority for the benefit of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So establishing relation with the Gulf countries is something that must be done. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia believes that the countries in the Gulf circle have several things in common which the Arab Kingdom believe can unite the will and coordinate various combination of policies related to security and defense, economic, social, educational, and cultural in its territory. And number two is Arab Circle, the establishment of the Arab language in March 1945. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia realized the importance of unifying the attitudes of Arab countries. In addition, the Arab language was established to establish a mechanism to coordinate the relation of Arab states and serve the interests of Arab states and issues in those countries. And the three is Islamic circle. Islamic is very fundamental in influencing the foreign policy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Arab Kingdom priorities what was behind the goal of the Arab Kingdom was to achieve Islamic solidarity. And the last is international circle. In Arab foreign policy in the international sphere, Arab tends to consider the good and the bad that will be felt or obtained by the state when making these decisions. Okay, then the next slide, please. Iran foreign policy. Although there is a desire to realize influence from prior government policy periods, during each time of the Iranian presidency, it is an instrument with a pattern that follows the pattern established by previous leaders. Iran foreign policy is causing concern not only because of its nuclear goals, but also because of its proxy powers and connection with extremist groups in the Middle East. Iran has targeted weak countries and generally backs non-state entities who create autonomous zone within the country. First, Iran has backed Hezbollah in Lebanon since the civil war in 1918. Hezbollah has its own armed force that serve the Lebanon state and provides many essential services to the citizens. And number two is Iran supported and trained paramilitary organization in Iraq. And the three is Iran has provided military support and training to the Houthis, who oppose Hadi's internationally recognized government during Yemen civil war. And the last is Iran has given the Syrian regime a strong military and economic support.
All right, now we shall move on to the effect of this proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran that will be presented by Zaki and Faras. So both of you may.
Okay, thank you for the time, Rizky. So the impact of Saudi Arabia and Iran is prominent in the Syrian regional conflict. The conflict itself sourced from the invasion of Iraq that was led by the United States in 2003. This invasion upended Baghdad's long-standing role as a regional buffer against Iran regional dominance. Tehran took advantage of the war to become Iraq's dominating force, and it then bolstered its influence in Syria and Lebanon. This posed a danger to Saudi Arabia's formerly dominant pro-Western regional order. It also constituted a perceived security danger because of suspected ties between Iran and Shia minority population. The violence quickly spiraling out of the control, and the country went into civil war. Hundreds of rebel groups sprang up, and the conflict quickly expanded beyond fight between Syrians who supported or opposed Mr. Assad. As the instability deepened, foreign countries began to take sides, supplying money, weapons, and warriors and hardline jihadist groups with their own goals, such as Islamic State organization and Al-Qaeda, were engaged. This increased international worry as they were seen as a big threat. The United Nations has confirmed at least 350,209 civilians and combatants were murdered between 2011 and 2021. Michelle Bachelet, the United Nations High Commissioner of Human Rights, said that 26,727 of the fatalities were women, and the 126,000 were children. By June 2021, the Syrian Observatory of Human Rights, a UK-based monitoring organization with a network of the ground sources, had documented the death of 494,438 persons. According to the report, at least 159,774 civilians have been killed, with the Syrian government and its supporters bearing the blame. And the next part will be presented by Faras.
Thank you, Zaki. Yemen is the most remote of the regional states affected by Iran-Saudi rivalry, and it was also the least significant. However, this position has changed in 2018 with the internalization of the Yemeni crisis on the one hand, and the US and Saudi focus on blaming all regional problems to Iran. While Saudi Arabia has had a long-term presence in Yemen, Iran has remained the least significant presence in Yemen. This long-running conflict has resulted in critical humanitarian and development crisis. It has also resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Many of these are the direct outcome of the war violence, but others are the result of the war and indirect impacts, such as lack of food and worsened living circumstances. From 2016 until the end of 2018, the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, or ECLID, recorded about 63,138 combat-related deaths among combatants and civilians in Yemen. And it appears that the war has resulted in far more indirect deaths. According to Save the Children, approximately about 85,000 children have perished or of malnutrition since the war began. Furthermore, under 5 mortality claim from deaths per 1,000 live births in 2013 to 8 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2016. And the Iraq will be presented again by Zaki.
Okay, thank you. So the effect of Iraq is basically a battleground for two powers, namely Saudi Arabia and Iran. It is very important for Iraq to choose between the middle path and avoid a lot of losses if it sides with one of the countries. So because if they side with Iran, the Sunni Arabs will feel alienated and they can prove at any time that they are willing to use violence if their needs are not heard by the Iraq. And if they side with the Saudi Arabia, Iran Shias will feel instigated and suspicious, seeing Saudi Arabia threat their own Shias in substantial way. Iraq also lacks the institution or political figures needed to make the necessary move. In addition to that, Baghdad also needed investment because it wants to rebuild the country and reduce Tehran economy interference. Okay, that's all from me.
Thank you, Zaki and Faras. And now we shall move to the final point of this presentation, which is the conclusion. So as we can see here from this presentation that we have explained the rivalry between the two nations, Saudi Arabia and Iran, regarding the rivalry since 1979, which is a quite long rivalry. And we also has explained the identity between these two nations in their political system, where Saudi Arabia is based on the monarchy political government, while Iran is more of an Islamic republic. And also in their identity in the religion, it also divided into a Sunni for Saudi Arabia and Shia for Iran. And also their foreign policy also quite not really have to be really butt head between the two nations. And also the effect of this rivalry between these two nations has resulted in a proxy war in the Middle East, such as in the Syrian civil war, Iraq crisis, and also the Yemeni civil war, which has caused a tremendous effect for all of those nations. And that will be all for the presentation for Group 2. Thank you very much for all watching. I hope you can learn something from this video, and also please share this video also for your friends, also for your family. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.